Welcome to She Leads with Grace. I am your host, Gemma Macaulay, and I am on a mission to help women take the lead in their own life by owning their feminine genius and reclaiming the power of womanhood. It's time for women to rediscover the value they bring and pursue the life they are called to create. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to episode 2. I just want to give a quick shout out to all those who have shown their support within the last week of this podcast being launched. It's been such a relief to finally get this out there. And now that it's actually out there, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's happening. We are doing this. Oh my gosh. And you're coming along for the ride. So I'm excited to, see where this goes. But I am also excited to just explore the concept of the feminine genius and how reclaiming the genius that is within you can unlock parts of you that allow you to own who you are and take the lead in your own life. So I wanted to dedicate this episode to delving into what the feminist genius actually is and how you can adopt the qualities in a practical way in your daily life. So basically, the point of this, I guess, what the origin of this podcast is that there's a real identity of women understanding their femininity. Like, we don't even know what the word means. We don't really know what we have to offer because for so long we've been unacknowledged in who we are personally. Like, I know so many women who just are completely down on themselves with self-doubt and they don't have confidence in themselves, or they feel like they're inadequate, or they feel like they're not good enough. And so they either don't go for opportunities because they think they won't be able to perform, or they deprive themselves of putting themselves out there because they feel like they don't have what it takes, or they don't want to be exposed for who they really are. But there's a real gift in who you are as a woman. And I want to invite you to just take a minute to just ponder on what it means to be created as a woman and the unique role that you play in the world, and how much of an impact you would make if you could just accept yourself for who you are and step into your authentic self in a way that is stepping into your power. Like, there is power within your womanhood that is just waiting to be unlocked. And one of the documents I want to delve into, which I think really encapsulates this concept beautifully, is MULIERIS Dignitatem. I think I butchered that pronunciation, but I'll link it in the show notes. And it's a what do you call it? An apostolic document written by Pope St. John Paul II when he was, I think it was around the 80s that he wrote this letter. And he was elected Pope around the time of the, hold on, let me just get my facts straight. Before I try to label facts, basically where this idea was brought to light was during the era of the sexual revolution and the feminist liberation movement, because Pope John Paul II could understand the challenges that were facing women during, that time within the modern world. And I suppose he was just trying to have women really understand their dignity, because for so long women's dignity has been unacknowledged, and because of that it's prevented women from truly being themselves, and it's resulted in a spiritual impoverishment of humanity. Like, that's a quote from his letter to women. The fact that women aren't truly being themselves has resulted in a spiritual impoverishment of humanity. Like, that's how much of an impact that you make on humanity. That is massive. If you don't step into your role, there is a gap in the tapestry of life. Like, no one can do what you do. No one can do the things that you are gifted to do. No one can be who you are. And so when you aren't doing things in the way that only you can, the world is deprived of that gift that only you can offer. And I think it's worth just tapping into that practically. So what I want to do is delve into the 4 aspects of the feminine genius. I might just go into 2 today because actually we'll see how we go. I'm sort of doing it off the cuff right now, but we'll start with the first aspect, which is receptivity. And Edith Stein said, "A woman's soul is fashioned to be a shelter in which other souls may unfold." A woman's soul is fashioned to be a shelter in which other souls may unfold. What does that mean practically? I think this quote perfectly encapsulates the feminine genius, where in order for women to be a safe haven, they need to be firm and content within their own identity so that they have the capacity to be receptive to those around them and to be sensitive to their needs and to allow them to come in their vulnerability and their openness and to share in their suffering and to be the place of respite and to receive the nurturing that women give in a way that it's like soul food. Like, have you ever met someone who they just had this peace about them? You know, they didn't have to be anywhere. They weren't distracted. They weren't expecting anything from you. They were just totally present with you in that moment. And all you did was just talk about what you're going through. And they listened and they looked at you in the eye and they had this glisten where you could just see the look of love in their eyes. That is what it looks like for a woman to be receptive. Like, you know that look. You know that feeling of being received. And it's healing. But so often we can get caught up in the day-to-day acts of life where we sort of feel like we don't have time for people, or like you go to these events and you're catching up with somebody and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's been so long, we have to catch up." And it's like, why don't we just catch up now? Who's guilty of that? I know I am. So being receptive is a gift that you possess within you. And sometimes it's just a matter of being aware that that's actually a quality that you own. And if you can tap into that every now and then, you really do make a difference in people's lives just by simply listening to them, having time for them, and just like allowing them to open their heart to you. That is the gift of receptivity. And I think one of the ways that we can grow in receptivity is to be open to receiving love, like letting ourselves be loved. And we can do that by being open to God's love in prayer and really allowing our heart to be healed from any sort of experience that we've had where our heart has not been handled well. and let the Lord really come in with his tenderness and heal those parts of you. And a way that you can allow that tenderness to come in is to be open to real relationships, real love in friendships and in your intimate relationships, and just allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Because vulnerability is what breeds connection. And when we connect, we delve into a depth that goes beyond superficiality. It's something that really binds people together. And it's worth learning how to develop that skill. If we are able to receive the love of God, then we are able to receive the gift of the people that we do life with. And that's also where it starts. Not just receiving the love of God, but also being able to just sit in that within yourself, being grounded in that, being a stable figure so that people can lean upon you when they are in need of respite and nurturing and love. And one of the qualities that stem from receptivity is sensitivity. And sensitivity is another quality of the feminine genius. And this quality is commonly thought of as a sign of weakness. When someone is too sensitive, they need to toughen up and get over it. Or, at least that's a hardwiring that I learned when I was growing up. Like, being on the younger end of a big family, you develop a thicker skin as like a coping mechanism when siblings do what siblings do. But like the mere fact that a woman carries that capacity in her body to create life, whether she becomes a mother or not, it orients her personality in a way that makes her alert to the interior life of others. And she sees the person in their entirety. Like, she can see how what someone is going through can impact how they're showing up. Like, you can see through things. You can look beyond the surface level. And by being attentive to that, sometimes even just asking someone if they're okay, like genuinely asking if they're okay. How are you doing? When you can see someone's heart, like just by their mere look on their face or their demeanor, like if you can see that in someone and then ask them how they're going, they can really feel that they are seen by you. And it allows them to, whether it's appropriate in that particular context, but when someone feels seen, they are generally more open to being honest with you. And again, the vulnerability is what breeds the connection, and the connection is what allows nurturing to take place. But again, it's easy for us to not go there, to not ask that question, to not be present with the people around us because we're stressed or we've got things going on and we can't quite be with the people right in front of us. But to be still and to be engaged with people allows for those connections to be nurtured. A way that you can be sensitive is think of like how you can be helpful. Touching base with a friend, taking a moment to be present with the lives of others and making yourself available. Making yourself available simply opens opportunities for these like tender moments to happen where you can explore the depths of another person's heart. Actually, no, I've got feedback. I would love to hear from you. On something I've been debating in my head about, like whether I'm being insensitive or not. But so basically I've got this thing happens where sometimes when I haven't heard from a friend in a little while, they come to mind, and it's like I'm inspired to touch base with them. It's like there's something telepathic about that, where something is up, you aren't told about it, but you feel in your intuition that something is going on and that touching base with them is a good idea, right? So one friend I have in mind, she has little children, and it's really difficult to get in touch by phoning her. And personally, I like receiving and sending voice messages because, I mean, there's something nice about hearing someone's voice, but also when you're sending a voice message, it's efficient. I can like get across more in a voice message than if I was texting. And so my thinking is, well, instead of like waiting to have her like answer my phone call or like reply to my message, um, if I haven't seen this person for like 6 months, a lot has happened in that 6 months. So rather than waiting for her to get back to me, I'll just check in on her, let her know that I'm thinking of her, and then go on to talk about myself. And like basically like update her on what's happening over the last 6 months. The thing, like, I don't know if that's insensitive or what, but like to touch base with someone who I haven't spoken to, but like 90% of the message is about what's happening in my life. I don't know if that's insensitive, but when someone is sharing their life, like you can connect with them without having to respond. Like you don't feel the pressure to respond, especially when like, you know, like you want to respond in that moment, but then you get distracted, something happens, and then months go by and you realize you haven't responded, but there's no pressure because I've already told you everything I want to tell you, and they can get back to me whenever they can. So instead of expecting her to reply and then making the connection, I just go ahead, give her an update, and she'll respond when she's ready. So, I mean, I guess like in our day and age, like there's just so much going on. People are very busy, and you just got to get creative in how to like keep those relationships alive, especially as adults. Like, I feel like adult relationships are really hard to maintain because, I mean, I'm the type of person who really loves quality time. I love spending time with people. I could go months without seeing someone, and then I see them, and it's as if we've never stopped talking. And there's something really special about being able to sort of like pick up where you left off and still allow the relationship to be nurtured like over time, not having to see each other frequently. Anyway, I just, I don't know, let me know what you think, but I'm wondering how to keep in touch with these people, especially when you live so far apart. You've got your own families, like there's just so much that life throws at you, and you know, relationships and friendships sort of fall down the sideway. God, what am I saying? Anyway, so um so another aspect of the feminine genius I like to touch on is generosity, because receptivity and sensitivity give rise to generosity. And I just want to share something from like my own experience about how I've managed to grow in the quality of generosity through hosting. So I've always been someone who loves to host. I haven't always been someone who loves to cook, right? When I first started dating my husband, I was not a cook. I was literally living off a loaf of bread and a cup of soup. Like I just didn't have the money. I didn't really enjoy cooking. I think growing up, I don't think I was invited into the kitchen very much, and so I never developed a curiosity for how to cook or like cooking skills in general. And so I guess I didn't really have much experience. I didn't learn to enjoy it, and so I never really got around to developing cooking skills. So, anyways, so when John and I first started dating, um, he came to learn that I hated cooking. And he is like an absolute master chef. So like him cooking in the kitchen, he could literally just like walk into kitchen, check the pantry, check the fridge, pick out the most random ingredients and put together the most phenomenal cuisine that's full of flavor, and it's got this name that you've never heard of before. It's a cuisine from a country that I've never even come across. And he's basically, you know, put me to shame, right? Like I just felt so insecure cooking when he was just like, you know, putting on a show every time he cooked for me. But something that I learned from him was that Australians don't know how to host. Like, we don't have Australian cuisines. Like, what is that about? But from his experience of living abroad, he's learned from other cultures that food actually brings people together, and having food available for everyone is a form of generosity. And so, um, I I've sort of lost track here. Hold on. So, started cooking. I hated cooking. He loves it, but he's also taught me that, culturally speaking, we have not been taught how to cook and host for people. And so, yeah, basically, I just had this mindset that needed to be shifted, because I'm going to be cooking literally every day for the rest of my life. So I might as well learn to enjoy it, right? And so over the years, I've just let myself be more free in the kitchen with experimenting with new recipes, exploring different cuisines, and like learning from John and the extent of his repertoire that he's learned from living abroad. Basically, the whole point of this story is to give you an example of how your mindset can help you shift from this mentality where you don't have enough to give, so you don't even offer. Whereas even just a little bit offered to people is enough for them to feel, um, it's a nice gesture in itself. But by the process of, seeing food as a way that brings people together, even if it's the simplest meal with the simplest ingredients, a few herbs and a little bit of time to like let the flavors come together, it's enough to make a delicious meal where people can enjoy it together. And it's a way to center people around the heart of the home, right? And so I guess hosting is definitely a quality that John and I do share. And we want to create a home where, like there's always food in the fridge, the kettle's always boiling, and the door is always open. We are always ready to receive people. And that is an act of generosity. I think it's actually an act of like Christian living. It's like waiting to be met with somebody who is in need and always having something to offer them. And now I genuinely enjoy cooking and providing for people. And I love hosting. I love sharing my talent of cooking. I have come a long way. And it's because being other people centered, like thinking of others and their experience of enjoying food together, has allowed me to be more generous with my efforts in like preparing what I'm going to do for dinner and like thinking of different things I can do and whatever. All of that is a form of generosity. It's stuff that really, it actually nurtures my relationship with John because he is a foodie, but also by us, like continuing to foster this sense of generosity with each other, it really does feed our marriage, and it will continue to um, feed into our family life. Feed. So on brand. But yeah, I guess maybe that's just one example of how generosity can nurture relationships and how natural it is to want to accommodate people. I think there's something about women like wanting to make people feel welcome and comfortable and safe, and all of that can be done in the comfort of your own home in the spirit of generosity. And finally, the final quality that I'll be talking about today is maternity. So obviously, women are made to bear children, to nurture life, to bring it forth into the world, and to raise humans, and to continue the human race. Whether we bear children or not, we are also called to a spiritual motherhood of people. And that can look like, lots of different ways of mothering people, which could be through like mentoring or coaching or confiding in friendship or seeking a spiritual director. There are lots of different ways where women can be a spiritual mother. And I think a way for women to be open to this spiritual motherhood is by sharing the qualities that we've spoken about, like being receptive to people and being available with, I guess, being generous with your time and with your attention, and being sensitive to their needs and their wants, and doing your best to either attend to them or attend to those needs, or just reassure them that they are loved, and anything that they need, like, you may be able to redirect them to the right place. And also, like, just being a mother. Being a mother is the most wonderful role in the world. And I think one of the things I want to really bring light to in this podcast is like reclaiming the dignity of motherhood and helping women not be so afraid of being open to life, being open to starting their own family, and to really take ownership of their perspective and their attitude when it comes to childbearing and raising a family. Even if you do have a family, it's like how you approach your day-to-day life. There's a lot that I want to delve into that particular aspect, which I will go into another episode. But basically, what I want to highlight is that these qualities are all spiritual qualities that encapsulate the feminine genius. And women fall across all of these qualities, the entire spectrum, in their own unique way, because we each have our own expression of femininity. And I just want to remind you to be mindful of the comparison and competition that may come up when you think of femininity. You might feel like you're not feminine enough, or like you don't, like you're lacking something, or I mean, whatever it is. But what I'm trying to say is that when we are looking at what others are doing, we can feel inadequate within ourselves, and we can lose sight of who we are in our own authenticity. But all of these qualities call each of us to be a gift. So take this to your journaling time or prayer time, or just take a minute to just think about how you can love. Like, how are you being called to love? Who in your life are you being called to love? I love the expression about vocation. Usually your vocation is right under your nose. It's who is in front of you. And exploring the different aspects of who you are, knowing what you're good at, and really developing the skills that allow you to own those gifts that you've been given, cultivating the virtues to help you embody the type of woman that you want to become, and to continue studying those parts of yourself so that you can own the power of your womanhood and take the lead in your own life. So I think we'll leave it there for today. I hope this episode touched your heart in some way. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear about what you want to hear more of. Obviously, I've got stuff lined up, but if you have anything in particular that you'd like me to talk about, or you'd like to hear my thoughts on, I would love to hear your feedback. So we'll leave it at that, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you are looking for something to elevate your current season of life, whether it's a dream that you want to pursue but you have no idea where to start, or maybe you're seeking personal support to discover the authentic gifts of your feminine genius, I would love to invite you to join the Woman School community, where I mentor women through the New Woman Masterclass. It's a comprehensive online school for women to develop a stronger mindset and skill set to prepare you for your next pursuit. If you're interested or just want to have a chat, send me a DM on Instagram at Gemma Macaulay _, or you can schedule a call with me using the link in the show notes. I look forward to chatting with you on the next episode.